Chair recognizes Representative Peak to present the bill. Representative Peak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to present to you HB 350. Here's some information you probably do not know. Are you aware that you, like thousands of parents every day, may have dropped off your child this morning at your local daycare center, which is properly licensed by our great state, and your child could right now be cared for by someone who's been convicted in another state of sexual offenses against a minor? Or that a particular daycare worker employed where your child is napping this very moment could have a felony conviction of armed robbery from another state. And no one running that daycare facility would know this information, not even the director who hired this individual. Kind of shocking, isn't it? That's because current Georgia law only requires directors of a licensed daycare center to undergo national fingerprint-based background checks. Not a single other employee is required to have this national background check. Instead, all they're required to have before working with your child is a name-based search of Georgia records only. So whatever crimes or convictions that employee has committed in any other state, which would include sexual offenses or battery charges, would not be known by the director hiring that individual who is now caring for your child 8 to 9 hours a day. It's a pretty scary thought, isn't it? Well, HB 350 seeks to correct this deficiency in our state by requiring that every employee that works in a licensed daycare facility, from bus drivers to kitchen staff to all daycare personnel, be required to undergo a national fingerprint-based or biometric background check before working with our children. The Georgia Department of Early Care and Learning Agency, commonly known as DCAL, administers, licenses, and regulates over 6,000 child care programs in Georgia that serve over 350,000 children. The leadership of DCAL has asked for this legislation to greatly improve child safety. And the highlights of the bill are real quickly this. The new requirement for a national fingerprint-based background check for all new employees would begin in January of 2014. Current child care employees would have until January 2017 to receive the new check. This is to ease the burden of the additional small cost to employers. The fact is, though, that with the average turnover at approximately 100% annually, most employees will be checked well before that date. Once implemented, all employees will be subject to a recheck every 5 years, which is actually similar to what is required for public school employees and teachers currently. A provision is included to allow daycare centers to hire an employee immediately after a satisfactory name-based Georgia search. This will allow providers, when needed, to hire staff quickly to ensure proper child ratios or oversight for safety. These providers would still be required to initiate the national background check for such an employee, which usually only takes several days, or be subject to losing their license. DCAL worked closely with the Georgia Child Care Association, which represents a large segment of the industry, in pursuing this concept and in drafting this language. We also coordinated with the GBI and other stakeholders in the early care community. There are currently 26 other states that have mandated national background checks, including all our border states. So, for the safety of our children, I humbly ask for your yes vote on House Bill 350. Mr. Speaker, I'll be more than glad to answer any questions if there are any.
You have a question?
Yes, sir. I'll be more than glad to answer.
Do you yield?
Yes, sir. I do yield.
Chair recognizes Representative Buckner to your left for a question.
The gentleman yields.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
I had a question from someone. They're not opposed to this, they're just confused. On line 103, it says a fingerprint-based national criminal history record information. But then if you go down to 112, you have taken out the FBI. So who will do these approved fingerprint?
That's a good question. The fingerprint-based national criminal history record is run through the FBI. So the FBI will be doing these checks. That's why it can go across state lines. So that answers your question. I mean, it's a biometric run through the FBI database system.
Okay, I guess.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You have another question if you yield.
Yes, sir, I will.
Chair recognizes Representative Bell for a question to your left, Representative Bell.
Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Could you give us a definition of the biometric procedure?
Yes, I actually have to have it when I apply for a liquor license at any of my restaurants, where you actually go in and they take a fingerprint of each of your fingers, and it's submitted electronically, goes to the FBI, and you get a report within 3 or 4 days of any convictions that you would have in any state across the country.
Okay. And how is that different just from a regular fingerprint?
Or
is it?
It's not. In the Georgia-based record, all you have to do is give your name and social security number.
Gotcha.
So,
thank you, sir.
yes, ma'am.
And now you have another question. If you
I'll answer one more, and then we'll get
Chair
off.
recognizes Representative Donahue to your right for a question.
Does the gentleman yield?
I do, yes, sir.
Who pays for the fingerprinting?
The bill is signed on that. It'll be up to the market to dictate that. In most cases, probably the employer would pay it. I would imagine that would be where most employers would be willing to get good employees, they would pay for it. And the difference is an incremental of about $15 a month.
Does the gentleman still yield?
I do.
One more. Do you renew every 5 years on the fingerprinting?
Every employee would have to be rechecked once during a 5-year period. That's correct.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Speaker, I'll be more than answer questions offline, anybody that has them, but this is an important measure for child safety in our state, and I ask that you would give your strong consideration to voting yes for this bill. Mr. Speaker, I yield the will.
Gentleman has yielded the will. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 350 will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 350. The ayes are 154, the nays are 18. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Chair recognizes